What's your perspective on what his involvement could have been with the Nipsey situation? What do you think about that?
He absolutely was involved in Nipsey's situation. And people, they don't want to say it. They're scared to say it. That's fine. I'll say it for you. He was involved with the Nipsey situation.
Big U. So I watched, I ain't gonna lie, I just did a video about Adam 22, but I watched every interview he did with SKG. That's Suge Knight's girl. She claims she never had relations with Suge Knight. I'm gonna be honest, I kind of don't believe her because I saw another Tasha K clip, and that's sorry, which don't put it on Instagram on YouTube. So I just saw like a 2-minute clip. But she asked her, "Did you f him?" Women talking dirty, but she's like, "No, I didn't do that." She goes, "I was fighting with." She started like deflecting. I was fighting with Left Eye because she was messing with him and then she thought I was messing with him. But on the other interview, she said that her and Left Eye didn't like each other because they were both like, vying for the top spot. So I thought that was kind of weird that her story kind of changed there. And I could kind of see she kind of flinched when they asked her, "Did you mess with Suge Knight?" But she claims she never messed with him. I find it hard to believe. Big boss like him and someone like her. I'm not saying nothing bad about her, but I'm just saying you would think that's just how it works in the entertainment industry. These people mess with the CEO, okay? And with that, I don't even really want to touch on that too much, but she claims she never did. But the point is, I watched all of these episodes. It was very interesting. She has a great story. She's talking about Big U right now. She's saying that he did have something to do with Nipsey Hussle's passing. The other interviews, I heard her speak about Nipsey Hussle and Big U. The dude was a bully, neighborhood bully. And I even saw Tiny Lister, Debo. He said that he structured his character after Big U. So I think there's some validity to Big U being this big monstrosity or this big bully in LA. Simple and plain. Let's let her continue. SKG. And I mean no disrespect to her. I would like to get her on an interview, to be honest, but let's continue.
And I want to let the detectives, because they're supposed to reopen Nipsey's case. That's what I was told.
Oh, wow.
I want to let them do their work. And I just feel like if they do their due diligence, they will find out exactly what they're looking for. But come on now, you think he wasn't? Nipsey died in 2019. And he allegedly did this to Rayshawn in 2021. He felt untouchable.
So when Loose Cannon puts up.
And real quick, that's what she says about him. He has just a history of doing this. And, he's going to get busted for it. And I think it's true. I think they're going to get him, She also said that they didn't respect Nipsey Hussle. That Nipsey Hussle would tell other gang members that would go to his store that they were good to come to his hood, to his store, and then Big U and his people would rob the customers, the other gang members. And they're like, "Man, I thought we were good over here." And that's what she told Nipsey, that they don't respect you. And it's true. Even for a woman to say this, if your word is solid and you tell your people, "Hey, I got some customers coming, they're from somewhere, whatever, whoop-de-wop, they're from over there, leave them alone," and your people don't leave them alone, they don't respect you, okay? I'm an ex-street dude, and even I know that's how it goes. If I bring somebody with me to my, and I've done it before, brought somebody to the hood, a friend or acquaintance, and they're under my watch or they're with me, I'll vouch for them. And if my homeboys disrespect them or did something to them back in the day, it would be a no-go. It would be because they didn't respect me. They would do that to the people or my guests. See what I'm saying? And she said that she would tell Nipsey, they don't respect you from a long time ago. They're jealous of you. And it makes sense. It don't matter if that's your homeboy. It don't matter if you're in the gang. There is no loyalty. There is no loyalty amongst thieves and wolves. Streets don't love you. Straight up. You roll up in the new whip, gold chain, you know what I'm saying? Whatever. Your wife's beautiful, kids, I don't know, whatever. They could find any reason to be jealous of you. And I'm pretty sure they were jealous of Nipsey Hussle, his own gang. And I'm pretty sure Big U, his homeboy, Loke, whatever his name is, he's the one that did the dirty work. So really, to be honest, if Big U's involved with this, I'm pretty sure he has some kind of hand to play in it. Is he the main reason? I don't know. But for Loose Cannon to say that Big U called him 30 minutes before Nipsey got unalived, that's really hella weird, in my opinion.
The version of the story where he got a call from Big U 30 minutes before it happened. Do you see that? And you tend to be like, yeah, I believe it. I believe it.
Yeah, I believe it. And I'm going to tell you why I believe it. Do you remember when Luce was on a show and then I think an attorney number posted a deceased for Luce with the video?
Okay.
I called the attorney and talked to the attorney myself. And the attorney, she told me that Big U just hired her for that cease and desist.
Okay.
So if there was never anything, why would you hire an attorney for that?
Yeah, right.
And so when they kept saying, oh, the attorney is fake, I talked to the attorney and I told her, do you know what type of monster you're representing? And then she told me, I don't even know him like that. He called me to hire me for this specific case, for this cease and desist.
Right.
So that was not a fake attorney. That was a real attorney.
Yeah, because I've gotten fake cease and desist that seemed like they were cooked up on ChatGPT, but that was from an actual
That was from
law
an
firm.
actual law firm because I spoke with her. I spoke with her myself, and then I called WAC, and I'm like, I just spoke with the attorney. I'm going to do my due diligence. So yeah, I picked up the phone and called her.
I ain't gonna lie. Listen to her speak today. I got a newfound respect for SKG because I watched all the interviews, probably like 5 or 6. Adam has pieced up in 9-minute clips, but nonetheless, she's very well spoken. She said that she came up in the radio industry without Big U's help. She tried to slide Big U and Nipsey Hussle into, this position of power. And Big U tried to come in there and bogart all the relationships and situations. And even WAC 100 said the same thing. She backed up WAC 100, say what you want about him. But she clarified it that, they try to bring him in deals. And there's Big U being Debo, in the high client world or the high, entertainment industry. They said that he was trying to basically come out the 80s and 90s with that same mentality of just punk everybody, and that's how he ran his business, and that's not how you run business, homeboy. And she even said that she would bring Nipsey around, and the big executives of the radio station would be like, nah, he looks too risky. He's too street. But she would still try to bring Nipsey around. And that's the thing, when you try to mix these hood street people, if they're not ready or mature enough for positions of power, you try to bring them around big bosses, man, it ain't going to work like that. I know big oil men. I will never bring some of my friends around them. For real. They make them hell of uncomfortable. This is how it is. And she said she tried to do that with Big U and Nipsey multiple times with Big U. She has a lot of history with this guy. That's why I believe this girl. I didn't know much about SKG. I did a video about her the other day. Check it out. Put it down in the description. But she knows a lot about Big U, and that fool's a bully, and I believe her. They even set her up. She got beat down by Big U. She went to the hospital. I mean, I believe all women. I believe her on this one. He beat her down after she kicked him out of a boardroom meeting with the execs. She didn't want him there. He beat her down later in the hood. He got her, and she went to the hospital later on. She didn't press charges. She said that she was smart. She would have done it the right way and pressed charges on Big U. I got a lot of respect for SKG, y'all. Look at the videos. Very interesting tale. I think she deserves a sit down with Vlad TV, to be honest. A good old hour sit down interview. She's very interesting, to be honest.
And even just in the last day, I've had a few people like sending me videos of fights that it seemed like in the video it was Big U and Eric Holder involved in these videos. Like they may have been closer than certain people have led us to believe.
Eric
Absolutely.
Holder.
Big U is a habitual liar. If
That's the dude that smoked Nipsey.
you haven't noticed that, if you just go back and look at his videos and look at different things, he's a habitual liar, a compulsive liar. Even with me and his situation, he lied and said he didn't know me. And then after that, he started posting pictures of us on his Instagram and tried to give them a version of a story that wasn't even true. He's a habitual liar.
Damn. As far as the whole checking in thing goes, like, is that something that you've just known about for forever? Like, is that even slightly shocking to you?
No, because I did know about it. I knew about the checking in because he bragged about the checking in.
Damn.
But I didn't know the details per se in regards to how deep it went. That's like if you hear checking in, you're like, okay, that means someone have to check in.
Right. If I go to Houston tomorrow, I could check in with a variety of people, and maybe they even move around with me. Maybe, and there's a lot of reasons why they could want to do that. They could just want some attention or clout, hanging out with people, whatever. That's very different than the situation being like, no, you have to pay X amount of dollars or else we're going to make this very difficult.
Well,
for you.
I knew about certain rappers paying. I knew about that part, right? But I didn't know to the extent in regards to, I didn't know that if they don't check in, they get hurt or unalive. Right? So when I say the details, I wasn't too privy to those details, but I did know about, okay, this person, they have to check in.
Right.
I just didn't know what happened, I guess, if the check-in wasn't checked in. If that makes sense. Like,
and I think she said it. I think it was her, but we can go to the common theme of here, the situation. But she said whenever she did business, she just started doing business with the white folks. Straight up. She said she never had these problems. There's no checking in, none of that violence and aggression, and none of that hogwash street mentality gang bullcrap. She said that in a video that she went and did. I wanted to react to that one too. It's a pretty good little interview. But she said that she will start dealing with the white folks and did very good business. She got exploited and extorted. They tried to extort her, but they couldn't do it by her own people. We hear this time and time again. It's old at this point. Your own people do you the worst. And she said that's what happened with Big U, that he couldn't extort her. And she stood up to him. And she got tired of his crap and finally stood up and said she wasn't taking it no more. And he ruined her career. She said she hates him, y'all. She hates Big U for what he did to her. He beat her while she was pregnant. And he kept trying to finesse her every chance he got with other businessmen and business dealings. And that he ruined her career. And they would be like, no, we can't mess with you. Big U said that. He basically screwed her whole career over. And she hates the man.
Okay, well, what happened?
Because when I remember sitting there having the conversation with Loose Cannon, and he's kind of talking about them getting 50,000 out of Rick Ross and Meek Mill and shit, just so that they could like continue to be out at some club or something. And I'm just sitting there thinking, like, Big U's on that. Like, that's how you guys were getting down. Like, I was so confused. And now the feds have this all in the indictment, and I'm kind of just reading the indictment, like, oh, okay. I thought that Loose Cannon was doing some attention shit and just kind of making stuff up to have a viral clip or whatever. And he didn't just talk about it on my podcast. He talked about it even more on Academics' podcast. But that was kind of shocking to me. Like on the podcast, people think that I know about this stuff and then I get people to talk about it because I already know. And it's like, no, people are just spilling their guts, like telling me their life story, which unfortunately in Loose Cannon's situation, it's like, if this was a couple years ago in the eyes of the feds, that doesn't really matter. Yeah. You might as well have done it.
This is a good part what she says, watch.
I mean, at the end of the day, I just feel like with you, you know, I hear what people say. I've heard everything. Adam's a culture versus he's this, he's that, right? But when you really dissect it and you look at everything, at least a person like me, you provide a platform. You don't hold a gun to people's head and tell them what to say. You don't force people to tell you what they're doing. Just like I'm here, I'm telling my story. People pick and choose what to say. And unfortunately, sometimes people say stuff that incriminates them. And that's what we're seeing right now.
Exactly. I don't care. I think Point and Shoot said it. You know that there's some blame to be held on Adam 22. The kind of questions he asked, and I think Point and Shoot said that he's tired of people saying what she's saying, but she's right. You go on a podcast and you act the ass and you say too much. That's on you. That ain't on Adam 22. Straight up, it's a mouthpiece, baby. It's the way you speak and conduct yourself. You're going to go viral and say some stuff like Loose Cannon and be in the feds or be locked up due to that. That's on you. So I don't like that. It's very simple here. You get on these podcasts, they give you the opportunity, they give you the microphone, the platform. It's all on you. So don't sit here and say that Adam's a fed or agent and say same thing with Vlad TV. Don't be trying to excuse these criminal scumbags for what they go talk about on these podcasts. It ain't Adam 22's fault. He has a big following and a big platform. And I ain't even trying to defend him, but I'm just trying to be using common sense here. It's the person that's getting interviewed that's giving up the whole game. Straight up. Either shut up, put up, or shut up. For real. So quit blaming Adam 22 and even Vlad TV for people getting busted. And then they say things they said in other places, right? It's kind of like dealing with situations I've dealt with here in my city. Oh, everybody wants to cover a story, right? But when I cover the story, the thing goes viral, and then I get all the blowback for it. Yet everybody else is doing it. But because I'm the biggest page, the biggest content creator in my city, I'm the one they look at. Or the information's already out there, and I put it out there, then they get mad at me, but it's already public info. See what I'm saying? Adam 22 and them, they have these guys on their show talking about something they done talked about somewhere else, but because they got a bigger platform, they get the heat for it. Same thing with Vlad TV, with Keefy D. Keefy D wrote a freaking book talking about what he did in Las Vegas with Tupac. Now he's in prison, you know, or facing prison due to them getting him for what he said on the podcast and for his book. But like Vlad TV said, all I did was interview him for what he said from the book. So how are you going to blame Vlad TV for giving this guy the platform and this Keefy D over there giving up all the game and info, and Keefy D wrote a book a year before? At the end of the day, it's all on you, what you say on the platforms, what game you give up, who you snitch on. Don't blame the person with the platform. Blame yourself that you couldn't keep your mouth shut.
Right.
You know, so.
Definitely. So you got arrested at one point for throwing a water bottle at him?
That was last year.
Okay. Oh, that situation in the hotel. Okay,
That was the
my bad.
situation.
But you ended up getting arrested by the end of that?
Well, he pressed charges. So the hotel wasn't going to press charges on me.
Right.
What he did was a citizen's arrest. And so he did a citizen's arrest. He pressed charges on me. And that's so crazy because when he jumped on me and he did all of that to me, I never put him in jail. I didn't press charges. I was raised, that's another thing when you deal with dysfunctional living. I was raised to not go to the police, right?
She's talking about whenever he beat her up. And I like how she says that. Dysfunctional living. She don't just go to the gang, the old tried and true gang message. Oh, I'm from the street and we have a code. No, she said straight up. She's kind of like putting down her gang mentality and her her way of upbringing. Instead of being so rude about it, she's just saying straight out, I come from a dysfunctional background and family where this is normal for us, right? She could just be like, yeah, this is what we do. That's why I think she's cool, because I think she's probably even a reformed gang member, because she doesn't really highlight or glorify that life. She says it's part of her past, kind of like what I do. It's part of my past. I can't deny it. I don't stand for it, but I'm not dumb to, the facts of the matter. And I like how she said that. She came from a background of dysfunction. She don't sit there and say that she's a gangster and that's the code ethics of the street. No, that's just what they did. Dysfunctional background. It don't make no damn sense. Some stuff that street people do, hood people do, people on substances, the things they do in their family and our families, what they do don't make no sense sometimes. But it takes a long time to get the clarity. It takes years to be far removed from that toxic environment and that toxic lifestyle to sit there and say, damn, I was playing the fool.
Right? So I took it. If I would have pressed charges on Big U for what he did to me, he probably would have still been in jail. And I didn't. And that's another thing, because people's like, well, if he did this, why didn't you press charges? I was raised to not do things like that. Can you fault me? Fault my environment where I came from. Today, I would definitely press charges because I'm a different person.
Do you have regrets about that? Because the whole situation could have played out quite differently, huh?
I do, right? But if you knew better, you would do better. I didn't know. I was a young girl. I'm a grown woman now. And that's probably why I'm not scared anymore. Today, I wouldn't let him get away with that. But back then, I didn't know any better.
What's your perspective?
Man, I'm telling you, great interview. Let's get back over here. Get my last little monologue here. So, SKG making the rounds on Adam 22's failing and going broke YouTube channel. I hate to say that. That's what he said. Check the video out. But SKG let a lot off on this podcast. Like I said, I watched multiple clips today. Newfound respect for her, straight up. And, man, shame on you, Big U. Big old bully. I'll freaking say it. Everybody else want to say, oh, free Big U, innocent to proven guilty. Man, they're gonna lock that fool under the jail, and I say good. 60-year-old Crip gang member extorting entertainers and those that are weaker than him, beating on a pregnant woman, right? Then stitching to the police whenever she threw a water bottle at him. Man, what a lame, what a loser. Shout out SKG, and she had a lot of great, insight in this interview. I liked it. I watched every clip I could watch of her. I got a newfound respect for her, and I think I look at her a little bit differently now that I know who she is. The first clip I seen of her, I made a video where it's on TMZ, and they're asking her about this whole situation, and her story don't change about that. Big U's guilty. He's a freaking bully. He's extorting the food vendors around Compton. Shout out to Mexicans and blacks over there. They always say BLM and the black and browns, there ain't no racial divide. Hogwash. I think everybody's divided at this point. I digress. Awesome interview. Adam 22, SKG, and that's my reaction. And remember, you ain't gotta like it, Holmes.